Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Zimperium webinar about our integration with BlackBerry. Today, we are joined by Nitin, the Chief Product Officer for Zimperium, Pat, Director of Pre-Sales for Asia, Pacific, and Japan for Zimperium, and Matt, the Principal Technical Solutions Manager for BlackBerry. Today's webinar will be recorded, and we'll send out the recording tomorrow. And if you have any questions, please submit them via the Q&A feature, and we'll get to as many at the end of the presentation as time permits. And with that, let me hand it over to Matt.
Thanks, Allison. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Garros. I am the Principal Technical Solutions Manager here at BlackBerry. So today we are going to present our platform named BlackBerry Secure, as we are invited to present along with our partner, Zimperium. So Zimperium and BlackBerry both offer a very comprehensive mobile end-to-end security solution. We are very complementary to each other. So I wanted to start presenting with this particular slide to just really highlight our current footprint in various industries, different verticals. As you can see, we are 100% focused on software, and we have been recognized by Gartner and IDC. So the analysts, they gave us really high scores in specific high security critical capabilities. So basically positioning us as a leader in the EMM Magic Quadrant. Let's go to slide number 2. Thank you. So what does BlackBerry exactly offers today, right? Since we have departed the hardware segment, now we are 100% focused on software. So we offer a very comprehensive platform. This platform can be deployed either cloud, on-premise, or in hybrid mode. This platform allows customers in different verticals, different industries to extend corporate data with security to any mobile endpoint. So at the core of this platform sits our central command and control console. We named this console BlackBerry UEM, Unified Endpoint Manager. So from UEM, administrators can basically manage not only mobile endpoints from a mobile device management perspective, but also they can manage content, applications, such as Zimperium, Zips application, right? So Zips can be deployed either inside or outside our container or different containers. We're going to talk a little bit more about these containers. And we can also manage identity in not only the native containers, such as a Google for Enterprise or Samsung Knox, but also we can manage our own BlackBerry Dynamics secure productivity applications. So it's a very flexible platform, allows any company to manage any type of ownership models, right? No matter if the device belongs to the company or to the employee, we can secure and enable access to company resources from any mobile endpoint, such as smartphones, tablets, PCs, Macs, laptop, desktops, wearables, etc. Right? So any relevant device in the market today, we are able to extend corporate data. Next slide, please. So depending on the company security posture, we are able to accommodate an appropriate deployment model with this, what we call BlackBerry Secure Platform. So together with Zimperium, we are securely enabling the enterprise of things, right? The Internet of Things, IoT, it's pretty much emerging as one of the most significant developments of our time. So IoT devices connecting to the enterprise, they all need to be secure, right? They need to be managed and they need to be enabled by IT. So these endpoints are what we call the enterprise of things, and they are driving new levels of business transformation. So data breaches and cybersecurity threats are some of the biggest roadblocks to realizing the potential of the enterprise of things. So our platform, BlackBerry Secure, is a comprehensive mobile native approach to security that basically address the entire enterprise from endpoint to endpoint. So BlackBerry offers a very comprehensive cloud-enabled software that basically helps companies to manage and secure the enterprise of things. So now with that, I would like to turn over to Nitin from Zimperium for the next slides. Nitin?
Thank you, Matt. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Sound check. Somebody, Matt, we're good?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, great. So, Matt, thank you for sharing what BlackBerry is doing in the UEM arena and how your solutions are managing devices in the enterprise. What I'll try to do here is to present to you what's going on in the security world as far as the mobile is concerned. And hopefully by the time we finish, you will see what exists today and how our solution can actually help protect these wonderful mobile environments that we have in the enterprise. So let me start with why we are talking about this. If you look at where the computing is headed, today people are spending much more time on their mobile devices as compared to their desktops. And this chart shows, how the number of minutes per day has gone up to like 113 for the mobile. And as you can expect, the desktop is going down every day. Another piece of information or a fact here is that if you look at the amount of traffic that's generated by mobile devices, today it's more than 50% of traffic that comes from mobile devices rather than the PCs. And I saw an estimate somewhere which said that by the end of this year, 2/3 of the traffic will be coming from mobile devices. So clearly, mobile is the new PC, and this is what most people are using to either get the information they need or buy online or access the important information like their bank accounts. So very important medium, and the traffic that's going from the mobile devices to cloud or servers is critical one. But there is an issue, right? So just like in the old desktop days, PC days, there is vulnerability in the solution, right? So there are obviously people out there who want to take advantage of the weakness in the overall solution. So if you think about it, there are applications out there which can become malicious. And these applications, the goal is to really either spam you with unwanted advertising or try to get information from your device by putting a malicious app on it, and which can be used to control your device and essentially, get everything that you have on the device. The most common form of vulnerabilities or attacks comes from the networks. So since there's a lot of traffic being generated, but if somebody sits in the middle, so have attack like man in the middle, they can actually look at all the data or traffic that's going from your device to the internet. And once a hacker has broken in, they pretty much have information, all the information that's going on the network. So things like your usernames, your passwords. Once you have that, you can actually basically do anything you like with that user's systems. And the last but not least, the real goal for these hackers is to get a foothold on your device. So essentially, once someone gets hold of your device, they basically can be you, they can impersonate you, or they can actually access all the information. So all of three, device, network, and application attacks, are existing today in our environment. Here's the factoid. We have a lot of enterprise customers as well as end users, consumers, and I'll tell you, all of them, we have seen 100% of them have attacks that we have detected. So we've looked through a vast amount of data for the last 6 years, and there is clearly an emerging trend here. The trend is that the number of attacks are on the rise. Network attacks are the highest in terms of the volume that we are seeing. But there is a real solution. There is a solution out there. I mean, there are various ways to really handle this, right? And every enterprise has to have thought through, what the strategy would be. So there are various approaches. The approach that I'm going to reveal to you over the next few slides is Zimperium's approach, which is basically focused on protecting the device on device in an offline mode. So while we do rely on cloud for enterprise capabilities, bulk of our detection and protection is actually on device. And I'll share with you why that's important. But before I do that, let me talk about 5 key things about our solution that makes us fairly unique and effective. So first of all, as you know, the best way to create a solution for security or protection is to actually get the right guys who know how to break in. So we have a pretty large research team globally that focuses on what the vulnerabilities are, how things can be broken in, and then they would engineer a solution to really protect. So really, if you think about it, hackers designing a solution, that's the best way to really create a secure environment. We are the only machine learning-based detection engine. So the key thing here is that if you don't have a machine learning or AI-based system, chances are you will detect everything that's known. But if you're thinking about vulnerabilities like zero-day, which are unknown at this time, you have no other way of doing this without the machine learning engine. So we are fairly unique. We built this engine from scratch. We did not bolt it on later. And that's how we actually detect all of the threats. We are the only on-device threat detection. As I mentioned earlier to you, clearly network is the highest volume generator of these threats. But if attacker controls your network connection, your detection mechanism can fail if you're relying on the cloud. So you really have to detect on the device in real time and then figure out what the actions could be. We're also very enterprise ready and friendly solution, and Pat will show a little later how we interact with the MDMs and SIEMs. But the goal is really to not only protect the user, but in an enterprise, look at overall view, collect the information, and then take actions that are appropriate for the entire company. We also have a SDK that embeds our machine learning engine. And not only do we provide an app that sits in the phones to protect you, but we also provide this as an SDK that can be embedded in any application that runs on the mobile devices. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times, companies like banks would like to have the protection that's embedded in their own applications rather than relying on device level protection. Especially true when you have a B2C kind of application. So at the heart of our solution, we have what we call our Z9 detection engine. This is a machine learning engine that's been trained over a huge amount of training data. It's been trained over years to the fact that the false positives are very close to zero, if not absolute zero. And the true positives is everything that we actually are looking at right now. So Z9 is embedded in both our application called Zips as well as ZApp, and that's what sits on the device and detects the threats real time. This covers device, network, and application attacks. So as I mentioned, there are 2 different ways in which our solution works. One is called Zips. That's the application we have for both iOS and Android devices. The Z9 engine is embedded in the Zips application. It sits on the device and monitors thousands of different parameters. And based on the machine learning engine, it kicks off an alert if it detects threats. This alert can be presented to the user on the device, and it's also sent as an event to the backend where it can be consolidated into a complete report. As I mentioned, as an alternate, it's also available as what we call ZApp. ZApp is our engine embedded in the SDK, and this is available to developers who are building applications where they can actually leverage the Z9 engine to get alerted if a threat is detected. So typically the way it would work is it's very simple. The developer would actually make a call into the SDK, and if a threat is detected, the SDK would respond back to the app and provide the information about the threat. And then it's up to the app to determine what to do with that. Here's a quick overall view on our solution. So on the left side, you can see the two mechanisms I mentioned on the device side, both Zips and ZApp, which based on the policies will make some detections, right, and provide that information to the console in the middle. The console is what sits in the cloud. This collects all the data from various devices and essentially provides an admin with an overview of what's going on in their environments. Remember, the policies can be set in console. This is where you can actually say what events are critical and what are not, what should be notified to an end user, what should be avoided, or what action should be taken. All of that can be determined on the back end by the admin. On the right side, on the top, you would see all of the integrations that we have with the various EMM, MDM vendors. As you know, in the seminar, you talked about BlackBerry solution with UEM. Pat will actually show you how this integration works. But in general, we're able to bring in the information from a UEM solution, which is around the users, the group, the devices, everything that's already known in that environment. And then we can start to look at that from a security viewpoint. On the reverse side, if a policy is set and action needs to be taken, that information is also sent back to the UEM environment, where UEM can then execute the action. Action could be shutting down the Wi-Fi or taking the device off the network. So that's the integration on the top with the EMM vendors, and there is more to come on that. On the bottom, you will see the integration of the SIM solutions, and this is where an enterprise can actually pull the information from us and then combine it with security information from all other endpoints, and then they can have a comprehensive view on what's going on in their environment. So typically that's the solution. It's fully integrated, very automated, a lot of flexibility for the enterprise admin to manage and to determine how they want to run this environment. And clearly, if a company has an EMM solution, we have all the bridges to integrate with it. So with that, I will ask Pat to come in and showcase our solution. Pat?
Sure. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Matt. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, just want to check if you can see my screen, guys.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect, Matt. So I would like to take you guys through essentially the console and how we go about integrate with the BlackBerry UEM solution, and walk you through some of the things that would typically the administrators and where the integration actually take place. So let me start with a very quick overview. So what you're looking at here is our cloud-based console. So it gives essentially a high-level overview of the threat landscape that we have essentially managed based on the devices that we have connected. We can see high-level information around the threat that's happening, a bit of historical information, as well as high-level risk assessments and profiles around the device. What I would like to take you through first is to look at how easy it is for us to essentially integrate with the BlackBerry UEM. So as you can see here on the console, we already have a UEM 12.7 integrated with the group selected. So one of the things we support, and it's quite a enterprise feature, is the ability for us to support multiple UEM instances or MDM instances within the deployment. As you probably have known, due to regional requirements, you might have different versions of or instances of UEM deployed across the region, EMEA, Asia Pac, North America. So we actually have the ability to connect that all into one single console and manage it centrally. The next thing I wanted to show you is as part of the configuration, it's actually quite simple. As you can see, we will configure the API endpoint of the UEM server, and the credentials that will be created within the server side. And all we have to do is enter those information, provided that there's a connectivity to the UEM server, we can actually proceed with the integration. So by clicking on next, we'll give you the ability to see all the list of groups that's available within the UEM server. And then you can actually decide and select the group that's relevant for deployment, right? So as simple as selecting the relevant group, this will give you the ability to synchronize the devices and the user information from UEM straight into the console. So just go ahead and hit finish here. You can see, okay, while this is going, Alison, please, take a note of any question if there are, and please let me know and I can address them.
Sure thing. No questions so far. If any
Okay,
attendees do have questions, please submit them via the Q&A, and we'll get to as many as we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, no problem. So while this synchronization is taking place, what I would like you to do is take you through to the policy. So as Matt had mentioned, the integration between the BlackBerry platform and our mobile threat detection platform tightly integrates, and we actually complement each other. And the way we actually do that is, as you can see under the policies page, there is a list of very comprehensive classification of threats. So these are essentially based on our machine learning engine, and we can essentially monitor the threat in real time from the devices that the applications deployed to. So one of the things you can see here is as soon as we integrated the MDM into our console, we are able to now provide different policies against different user groups, right? So that's one of the key features. Some of our customers has, BYOD devices and users. They would like to have a different policy applied. For instance, for example, user alert. You would like to set up an alert, notify the user when a threat is detected. And what we can also do is apply various different action that is directly supported from the UEM platform. So as you can see here, when a threat is detected, and depending on the severity and criticality, we can actually take action such as locking the device. We can delete, all the work data, right? We can, lock apps and remove apps. And more importantly, with UEM, we have two different levels of integration. One being the deployment through our standard version of the Zips application. What we also have is let me just quickly move my screen a little bit, a special dynamic BlackBerry dynamic version of Zips, which essentially embeds the dynamic SDK, which allow us to essentially take action that's specific to the containers, right? So we were able to communicate when a threat is detected. We can delete, basically manage apps on the BYOD environment. Okay, so let me just quickly come back here. So as you can see, policies can be configured based on the threat landscape and what the threat criticality is. We can also configure notification options if required. And then essentially once you finish configuring the policies, by clicking deploy, we'll essentially push the configuration to the devices that belongs to the groups. So I'll just quickly pause here. I think there's some questions.
Yeah, I thought we did get a question. If there's an error when we do the integration, where do we go for help?
Yeah, sure.
So that's a BlackBerry question.
Yeah, great. So that's a great question. So basically, when you're running around the integration, one of the things that we typically recommend is ensuring the port, the connectivity is available. So that'll be the first thing to check. The other things that you be very helpful as well is under the audit log, you can actually see high-level information or errors within the integration itself. So the error that we encounter through the the API exchanges or through authentication, the information could be displayed here in the console, right? And lastly, there's always the support channel that you can rate through the support portal, and we also have a quite a detailed administration and integration guide for BlackBerry UEM, and that also can be used as a good reference. Hope that answers the question. Okay, so let me quickly go back. Should I tackle the next question?
The next one I think is one we can take offline.
Okay, sure. So just cautious of the time, I guess what I wanted to do is want to quickly show you some information around the threat, right? So as we talked about the engine itself, and as you can see here, I've generated some an attack locally on my device here. So you can see the severity. You know, if a malware is detected on the device, you can actually go in and understand what type of malware it is. So on the server side, we actually capture a lot of the forensic data for you to, for the security team to take analysis and action and better understand the scope of the problem, and also, you know, correlate with other threats, right, across the enterprise. But more importantly, you know, I think the key focus here and as part of the integration story is really how can we, you know, at the time of a threat taking place, whether regardless is through a network, through a device level exploitation, or through a malware, we can actually inform the UEM platform and take action immediately. And that's really, you know, sort of close the loop and enhance the overall, you know, endpoint protection on mobile. That's where I sort of want to leave it here. Okay, Alison, back to you. Any other questions before we wrap up? In
we haven't any other questions. If anyone has any remaining questions, please submit them now. As I said at the beginning, the webinar was recorded, so we'll send out the recording tomorrow. And if you have any questions that you don't ask right now, you can send them to webinar@zimperium.com. And that, I think we're wrapping up for today. Thank you all for joining. Hope you enjoyed the webinar.
Everyone.
And information helpful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.